They say a human heart can only beat for so long. Elias stopped at 2:17 a.m. Flatline. Doctors called it time of death. But 5 seconds later, it started again. Stronger than before. Not human. Because at that exact moment, something outside the hospital died. And no one understood why a dragon's body was found with its chest empty. The city woke up wrong that morning. Not loud. Not busy. Not normal. People stepped outside and stopped mid-step. Cars slowed down without knowing why. Even the air felt heavier, like something had passed through it during the night and left a mark no one could see. Then someone looked up. And everything changed. A dragon lay across the hospital rooftop. Massive wings spread wide. Dark scales catching the early light. So, completely still. No smoke. No fire. No broken walls. No signs of a fight. Just a body that should not be there. Crowds started to gather below. Phones came out. Voices rose. Some whispered in fear. Some shouted in shock. Some just stared without blinking. Because dragons did not come here. And they did not die like this. Not quietly. Not without a reason. Police blocked the streets. Sirens filled the air. News cameras rushed in. But no one could answer the one question that kept growing in every mind. What killed it? And why here? Inside the hospital, the silence felt even heavier. Doctors moved fast but spoke in low voices. Nurses avoided looking at each other. Security guards stood frozen, like they were still trying to understand what they had seen hours ago. Because they had seen it. They had seen the dragon walk inside. Not crash. Not safe. Through the main entrance, like it belonged there. Like it knew exactly where to go. And that was the part no one could explain. But something even stranger was waiting inside one quiet room. Room 312. Where Elias had been lying the night before. Barely breathing. His heart had been failing for months. Slowly giving up. Beat by beat. The doctors had done everything they could. Nothing worked. There was no donor. No time left. At 2:17 in the night, the machines gave their final sound. A long, empty tone. Flatline. One of the doctors checked again. Then slowly shook his head. Time of death was called. They covered Elias and turned off the machines. Another life gone quietly. Another ending no one would remember. But then something happened. 5 seconds later, the monitor flickered. Just once. A small jump. Then again. A nurse noticed first. She leaned closer, thinking it was a glitch. But it wasn't. The line moved again. So, but real. The doctor rushed back. Pulled the cover away. Elias' chest moved. The breath. Then another. The machine came alive with sound again. Stronger each time. Faster. Louder. The room filled with noise and confusion. This was not possible. They had seen him die. They had confirmed it. But here he was. But not just alive. Recovering. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Elias opened his eyes. Clear. Focus. Not the tired, fading look he had before. Something else. Something new. He sat up slowly. No struggle. No pain. The doctors stepped back without realizing it. Because something felt different. Very different. They ran tests immediately. Heart rate. Blood pressure. Everything came back strong. Too strong. For a man who was supposed to be gone. But the real shock came when they looked closer. The readings did not match a normal human heart. The rhythm was different. Deeper. Almost like it carried more weight with every beat. The machine struggled to map it properly. One of the doctors frowned and checked again. Then again. Still the same result. He didn't say it out loud at first. Because it sounded insane. But everyone in the room felt it. This was not just a recovery. This was something else. Elias felt it too. He placed a hand on his chest slowly. His heartbeat was strong. Too strong. Each beat pushed against his ribs with force. Not painful, but powerful. Warmth spread through his body with every pulse. A strange heat that didn't belong to sickness or fever. He felt alive. Like something old and deep had taken root inside him. He closed his eyes for a moment, trying to understand. But instead of answers, he felt something else. presence. Not a voice. Not a thought. Just a feeling. Like he was no longer alone in his own body. His breathing slowed. The room faded for a second. And in that silence, something flickered in his mind. Too fast to see clearly. Too distant to understand. He opened his eyes again quickly. The doctors were still watching him. Waiting. Confused. Afraid. Curious. One of them finally spoke, asking how he felt. Elias looked at him. Then answered simply. But even as he said it, he knew that was not the full truth. Because alive was not what he felt. He felt change. Rebuilt. Like something had replaced what he lost. Something stronger. Something not human. Outside the hospital, the crowd kept growing. Cameras zoomed in on the dragon's body. Experts argued. Officials demanded answers. But no one noticed the connection yet. No one saw the line between the dead dragon above and the old man below who should not be breathing. Not yet. But that question was coming. Slowly. Like a shadow moving closer. Why him? Out of everyone. Why did the dragon come here? Why did it die without a fight? And why did Elias live? The answer was there. Hidden in silence. Waiting. And whatever it was, it had only just begun. It did not begin with answers. It began with small cracks. Tiny moments that did not belong. Elias noticed it on the third night after he woke. Sleep came easy now. Easy. Like his body no longer needed rest but still took it out of habit. But when sleep came, it did not stay quiet. It showed him things. At first it was nothing clear. Just cold air. A feeling of damp ground. A distant sound of water dripping somewhere in the dark. Then the image sharpened. A narrow alley. Hidden between old buildings. Walls stained and broken. Trash pushed into corners. Rain falling slowly. Not heavy. Not loud. Just enough to make everything feel colder. Elias stood there. But not as he was now. Younger. Much younger. His back straight. His steps unsure. Clothes worn but clean. His hands held something close to his chest. A small paper bag. He looked down at it for a moment. Then looked ahead. And that was when he saw it. A shape in the corner. Small. Curled up. Shaking. At first it looked like a child. Thin. Trying to stay hidden. But something was wrong. The way it moved. The way it breathed. Not fully human. Not fully anything he could name. Elias felt it even in the dream. That strange feeling. Fear mixed with something else. Something softer. He took one step forward. Then stopped. The rain hit the ground between them. A quiet sound filling the space. The small figure flinched. Like even that sound was too much. Elias tightened his grip on the bag. Inside it were small bottles. Medicine. Not expensive. Not rare. But all he had managed to buy. All the money he had saved for weeks. Maybe months. For himself. Because he had been sick back then. Tired. Barely holding on. That medicine was supposed to help him. Give him strength. Give him time. And now he stood there. Looking at someone else who needed it more. He hesitated. Of course he did. Anyone would. His mind started to argue with itself. You need this. You worked for this. No one will help you if you give it away. The rain grew slightly stronger. Drops hitting the ground faster. The small figure tried to pull itself closer to the wall. But it did not have the strength. Its breathing was uneven. Like every breath was a fight. Elias watched for a few seconds. Long seconds. The kind that feel heavier than they should. Then he looked down at the bag again. His fingers tightened. Then slowly loosened. A quiet breath left his chest. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a decision. He stepped forward again. This time he did not stop. The small figure noticed him. Its head lifted slightly. Eyes barely visible in the dim light. But they were there. Watching him. Careful. Afraid. Elias crouched down slowly. Keeping some distance. Not too close. Not too far. He placed the bag on the ground between them. Then pushed it forward gently. The paper made a soft sound against the wet ground. The figure stared at it. Did not move at first. Like it did not believe it was real. Elias did not speak. He did not explain. There was nothing to say. After a moment, the small figure moved. So, careful. A trembling hand reached out. Thin fingers touching the bag. Pulling it closer. Opening it just enough to see inside. The moment it saw what was there, something changed. Not fully relief. Not fully safety. But something close. Elias watched quietly, then stood up, no smile, no pride, just calm, like this was not something special, like it was just something that needed to be done. He turned around and started walking away. The rain followed him, soft and steady. Behind him the small figure stayed silent. No thank you, no call for him to stop, just watching. As he disappeared at the end of the alley, the dream ended there, cut off suddenly. Elias woke up with a sharp breath. His room felt too quiet, too clean, too different from what he had just seen. He sat up slowly. His hand moved to his chest without thinking. That strong heartbeat greeted him again. But his mind stayed in that alley, trying to hold on to the details, trying to understand. He frowned slightly, because something was wrong, not with the dream, but with his memory. He could not place it. He could not find where it belonged. It felt like something that had happened, not something imagined. Too detailed, too real. But when he tried to remember it clearly, it slipped away, like trying to hold water in his hands. He stood up and walked to the window. The city outside moved like always. People going to work, cars passing by. Nothing unusual. But inside him, something had shifted. A question had started to grow. When did that happen? Who was that? Why did it feel so important? He closed his eyes for a moment, trying again to see the face of the small figure. But all he got was that same image, curled in the corner, shaking. Not human, not fully. He opened his eyes again, frustration mixed with confusion, because he knew one thing clearly. That moment mattered, more than anything else in the dream, more than the rain, more than the alley. It was the feeling, the choice, the moment he decided to give something away, even when he needed it, and the way it felt now. It did not feel small. It felt heavy, like it had changed something far beyond that night. Elias stepped back from the window. His heartbeat echoed in his chest again, stronger this time, almost like it reacted to the memory, like it knew something he did not. He placed his hand over it, and for a brief second, another image flickered. Not clear, not full, just a shadow, large, watching from deeper in the alley. Still silent, then gone. Elias pulled his hand away quickly, breathing slightly faster now. That feeling returned again. That same presence, quite patient, waiting, and somewhere deep inside him, a truth was trying to surface. But not yet, not fully, not until he remembered everything, not until the past caught up with him completely. The footage was never meant to be seen by the public. It was damaged, broken, full of missing pieces. But what remained was enough. Enough to make every person in that room go silent. The screen flickered as the recording began. Static lines moved across the image. Lights blinked in and out. Time stamps jumped forward and back. Then it stabilized for a moment. The hospital entrance appeared. Quite too quiet for a place that never truly sleeps. Then the doors moved, slowly, pushed open from the outside. Not forced, not broken, just opened. And something stepped in. The camera struggled to adjust. Pixels stretched, shapes blurred. But there was no mistaking it. A dragon. Massive. Its head lowered slightly as it entered. Not in fear. Not in weakness. But in control. Each step echoed through the hallway. So, measured. The floor beneath it did not crack. The walls did not shake. It walked like it belonged there. Like it had walked that path before. The footage skipped. Flesh. Then another camera angle appeared. A hallway deeper inside. Nurses stood frozen near a desk. One of them dropped something. The tray hit the floor. The sound echoed. But the dragon did not react. Did not even look at them. It kept moving forward. Straight ahead. Its eyes fixed on something unseen. Something beyond the camera. The nurses tried to move. Tried to run. But their bodies refused. Not because something held them, but because fear rooted them in place. Their breathing became sharp, uneven. One of them covered her mouth to stop herself from making a sound. The dragon passed them, close enough to touch. But it did nothing. No anger, no hunger, only purpose. The footage cut again. Another camera, closer now. Room numbers visible on the walls. The dragon moved through the corridor without hesitation. Turned, then right, like it knew the exact path. Like it had already seen this place in its mind. The lights above flickered as it passed. Shadows stretched across the walls. Its wings folded tightly against its body. Not to hide, but to move without obstruction. Then it stopped. In front of one door. Room 312. For a moment everything became still. Even the camera seemed to hold its breath. The dragon stood there, silent. Then slowly, it pushed the door open. The footage glitched again. But this time the image did not disappear completely. Inside the room, machines surrounded the bed. A thin figure lay motionless. Elias. The monitor beside him showed a flat line. No movement, no life. The dragon stepped inside. The door closed behind it. Softly, almost gently. The air in the room seemed to change. Even through the broken recording it was clear. Something heavy filled the space. Not fear. Not danger. Something deeper. The dragon moved closer to the bed. Each step slower now. More careful. As if approaching something fragile. Something important. It reached the side of the bed. Then stopped. Its massive form towering over the still body. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the dragon lowered its head. Slowly. Until it was level with Elias. Close enough to feel his last fading warmth. Its eyes softened. Not like a beast. But like something that understood. Something that remembered. The footage crackled. Sound barely came through. Distorted. Broken. But one line pushed through the noise. Cut. Clear enough to hear. A debt must be returned. The words did not echo. They settled. Final. Then everything changed. Light burst from the dragon's chest. Not fire. Not heat. Something brighter. Pure. Blinding. The camera struggled to hold the image. White filled the screen. Shadows twisted at the edges. But through the light, something could be seen. The dragon's chest opened. Not torn. Not forced. Like it was meant to. Like it had chosen this. Inside, something moved. Glow. Pulse. Strong. It shifted forward. Slow at first. Then faster. Like it was being called. Drawn toward something. Toward Elias. The light grew stronger. Filling every corner of the room. The machines reacted. Lines jumping. Sounds rising. The flat line broke. A single spike. Then another. Then a rhythm. Weak at first. Then stronger. The glowing presence left the dragon. Crossed the small space between them. And entered Elias. Direct. Please. No struggle. No resistance. The moment it happened, the dragon's body trembled slightly. Not in pain, but in release. Like something essential had been given away. The light began to fade. Slowly, pulling back into nothing. The room returned to darkness. Dim hospital lights flickering above. The machines settled into a steady rhythm. Elias' chest rose. Then fell. Breathing. But the dragon remained standing for a second longer. His body still silent. Then its legs gave way. Slowly, almost carefully, it collapsed beside the bed. Not crashing. Not shaking the room. Just falling. Like something that had finished its purpose. Its eyes dimmed. The glow inside them fading. Breathing slowed. Then still, the massive form lay motionless on the floor. Completely empty. The footage froze on that image. The old man alive on the bed. The dragon lifeless beside him. Two endings. One beginning. Connected by something no one in that room could understand. The screen went black after that. No more footage. No more answers. Only silence. And one truth that could no longer be denied. The dragon did not come to destroy. Came to give. And it gave everything. Recovery should have been slow. Painful. Uncertain. That is how it always goes for someone like Elias. Barely held together just days before. But this was different. By the second day he was already walking. By the third he no longer needed support. By the fourth the doctors stopped explaining. Because nothing they said made sense anymore. His body was not just healing. It was rebuilding. Faster than anything they had seen. Stronger than it had ever been. His hands no longer trembled. His breath came deep and steady. His vision felt sharper. Clear. But, too alive. The doctors whispered outside his room. used words like miracle, used words like impossible. But even they knew this was something else. Elias listened to them sometimes, quietly, but he did not ask questions. Because deep inside, he already felt the answer. Not clearly, not fully, but enough to know. Something inside him did not belong to him. And it was not silent. It did not stay still. Remembered. The dreams came every night now. Not soft, not distant, close. The same alley returned. But this time it did not fade away quickly. It stayed. Longer. Deeper. Elias stood there again. But he was not just watching anymore. He felt it. The cold air touching his skin. The rain soaking through thin clothes. The sound of water dripping from broken pipes. The smell of damp walls and rust. Everything was sharper, stronger. And the small figure in the corner. It was clearer now. No longer just a shadow. No longer just a shape. It looked human. But not fully. The eyes were different. Too aware. The way it held itself. Like it was hiding something larger. Something dangerous. Something powerful but broken. It trembled harder this time. Its breathing more fragile. Like it was closer to the edge than before. Elias watched his younger self step forward again. Holding that same small paper bag. He saw the hesitation more clearly now. The struggle in his own past eyes. The weight of that choice. Because he remembered how little he had back then. How every coin mattered. How that medicine was not extra. It was survival. And still, he gave it away. The moment played again. But slower. More detailed. The hand placing the bag down. The quiet push across the wet ground. The small figure reaching for it. But this time, something new appeared. Something that had been hidden before. Behind the small figure. In the deeper shadow of the alley. There was something else. Still watching. Elias felt it before he fully saw it. Presence. Fading. The shadow shifted slightly. And for a brief moment, the shape became clear. A massive form pressed against the darkness. Wings folded tight. Body curled in pain. Eyes barely open. A dragon. Not strong. Not terrifying. Dying. Its breath came slow and broken. Each movement filled with effort. It was watching the small figure. Protecting it even in its weakest state. Waiting. Hoping. Elias felt a sharp pull in his chest. That heavy heartbeat inside him reacted. Faster. Stronger. Like it recognized what his mind was just beginning to understand. The small figure was not alone. It was never alone. That was its mother. The medicine. It was not just for the small one. It was for both. For survival. The dream shifted again. Moments passed. The small figure opened the bag fully. Took what it needed. Turned. Slowly. Toward the shadow. Toward the dying dragon. It moved with effort. Weak steps across the wet ground. But determined. Elias followed the movement. Watching as the small figure reached the larger one. Gently. Carefully. Helping. The dragon's eyes opened slightly. A faint glow inside them. Not strong, but alive. That glow flickered as the medicine was given. As hope returned. Just a little. Just enough. The scene held there for a moment. Then everything began to fade. But this time, Elias did not wake immediately. He stayed in that fading memory. And something else surfaced. Time passed. The small figure grew. Stronger. Large. No longer hiding. No longer weak. The dragon rose again. Power returning slowly. Wings stretching against the sky. Fire returning to its breath. But something else stayed with it. Something deeper than strength. A memory. A moment in a cold alley. A human who gave without asking. A choice that changed everything. Elias felt his chest tighten as the truth finally formed. Unavoidable. That creature. That small trembling figure. It was the dragon. The same dragon. The one that came to him. The one that stood beside his bed. The one that gave its life. The realization hit him all at once. Overwhelming. He opened his eyes suddenly. Back in his room. Breathing faster now. His hand pressed hard against his chest. That heartbeat answered him. Not human. Not entirely. He sat there in silence, letting the truth settle, piece by piece. He had forgotten. Completely. That night meant nothing to him. Just another moment in a hard life. Just another choice among many. He never looked back. Never wondered what happened after. But for the dragon, that moment was everything. It was the difference between life and death, between loss and survival, between ending and becoming. And it never forgot. Not once. Not ever. Elias lowered his head slightly. A strange feeling building inside him. Not guilt. Not regret. Something heavier. Something deeper. Understanding. The kind that comes too late to change the past, but just in time to change what comes next. He looked at his hands. Steady. Strong. Then back at the quiet room around him. Everything felt different now. Because now he knew. This was not luck. This was not a miracle. This was a return. But it paid in full. And more. The dragon did not save him out of kindness. It saved him out of memory. Out of loyalty. Out of a promise that was never spoken. But never forgotten. Elias leaned back slowly. His heartbeat steady and powerful. Echoing in his chest. And for the first time, he truly understood. Some acts may feel small. But they do not stay small. Not always. Sometimes they grow. Cross years. Cross lives. Until one day, come back. Stronger than anyone could imagine. They searched for the body. Teams came in. Experts. Military. People who claimed they understood creatures like that. They scanned the rooftop again and again. Measured every mark. Checked every corner. But there was nothing left. No scales. No blood. No trace of flesh. Only a scattered by the wind. Like whatever had been there had already chosen to leave. Some said it burned away. Some said it turned to dust. Some said it was never real. But Elias knew. It was real. And it did not disappear. Changed. Moved. To live. Inside him. He could feel it with every breath. Every movement. Every moment his chest rose and fell. That heartbeat never let him forget. Steady. Powerful. Not weak like before. Not fragile. It pushed through him like something alive on its own. Not borrowed. Not taken. Given. Freely. Completely. Days passed. Then weeks. The world outside slowly moved on. News changed. People stopped talking. The dragon became a story. Something strange that happened once. Something no one could explain. But for Elias, nothing went back to normal. Because normal no longer existed for him. He walked differently now. Not slower. Not faster. Just more aware. The people. The moments. Of choices. Small things started to matter more. A glance. The voice. A quiet need someone tried to hide. He noticed everything. Because somewhere deep inside him, something else noticed too. Something older. Something that remembered what it meant to wait in the dark. To hope for help that might never come. One evening, without telling anyone, without making it important, Elias left the hospital. No cameras. No questions. Just a quiet step out into the city. The air felt different against his skin. He walked without rushing. Without thinking too much. But his path was not random. His feet knew where to go. Even before his mind accepted it. The streets changed slowly. From bright and crowded, to narrow and silent. From clean paths, to broken ground. The sounds of the city faded behind him. Replaced by something softer. Wind moving through empty spaces. Water dripping somewhere unseen. Then he stopped. The alley. The same one. It looked smaller now. Older. Like time had worn it down even more. The walls still carried the same stains. The same cracks. The same quiet feeling. Elias stepped inside slowly. His footsteps light. Almost careful. As if he did not want to disturb something that might still be there. He walked to the same spot. The corner. Where the small figure once sat. Where everything changed. He stood there for a long moment. Not moving. Not speaking. Just remembering. The rain was not falling now. But he could almost hear it. Almost feel it again. That cold night. That simple choice. He closed his eyes for a second. and the memory came back clear. Not as a dream this time, but as something he fully understood. He opened his eyes again. Steady. Then he reached into his coat, pulled out a small box. Simple. Plain. Nothing special about it. But inside, medicine. Carefully packed. Enough to help someone who needed it. He looked at it for a moment, then crouched down slowly, placed it on the ground, right where he once placed that paper bag. His hands stayed there for a second longer, resting lightly against the box. Then he pulled it back, stood up, and took a step away. No note, no message, no name, just left it there. For someone he might never see. For someone he might never know. Because now he understood something he did not before. Helping was never about being seen. It was never about being remembered. It was about the moment, the choice, the decision to act when it mattered. Even if no one was watching. Even if nothing came back. Elias turned to leave, but paused after a few steps. His hand moved to his chest again. That heartbeat answered him. And in that moment, he felt it clearly. Not just power, not just strength, but presence, a quiet awareness. Like something inside him was at peace. Like something had completed its purpose, but also remained. Not as a burden, not as a weight, but as a part of him. A part that would never fade. He stepped out of the alley, back into the open street. The sky above stretched wide. Clouds moving slowly. Light breaking through. For a brief second, something passed high above. A shadow, but distant. Gone too quickly to be certain. Elias did not chase it. Did not question it. He simply watched. Then gave a small nod. As if acknowledging something unseen. Something understood without words. He continued walking, blending back into the quiet movement of the city. Just another man. No title. No power others could see. But inside, everything was different. Because he carried something rare. Not just a dragon's heart, but a truth. Simple. Clear. Unshakable. That power does not always come from strength. Sometimes it comes from choice. From one moment. One decision, given freely, without knowing what it might become. And somewhere out there, in ways no one can predict, that choice grows, changes, until the day it returns. Not the same, but greater, stronger, like something that learned from time, like something that never forgot. Elias walked forward without looking back, because he no longer needed to. The past was not behind him anymore. It was within him. Beating with every step, guiding him quietly. And above the city, far beyond sight, the sky remained open, holding stories no one had finished telling yet, waiting for the next choice, the next moment, the next human, who would change everything, without even knowing it.